Vice President Pence, thank you very much for joining us here. I'm going to start off with just saying right now, I don't want to talk about Donald Trump all the time. I don't see any point to do that. So let's have a conversation about some other things that are going on in the country and what you will do about them if you are elected to President of the United States. What will you do to bring the country back together? We've had, and I think you may have mentioned this, Obama, Trump, Biden, these are some very divisive human beings. What can you do to bring the country back together?
Well, first off, thanks for having me on the show, Dale. I couldn't be more grateful, and thanks for your clarion voice. We're looking forward to being in Alabama today and speaking at a conference that I think holds an awful lot of the keys for how we move our country forward and move our country together. You know, I've always believed that there's more that unites us in this country than could ever divide us. And chief among those things are faith and our love of freedom and our love of family. And tonight in Huntsville at the Waldrop Ministries, we're going to be focusing on just those values and sharing a bit about our faith and the story of our family. And I'm excited to be there.
You know, your faith is very important to you, obviously. It's been a big factor in your rise to vice president, and it's going to be a big factor in this race. It's also something that we hear a lot about when we talk about Supreme Court justices, mostly because of the abortion issue that has become so front and center, overturned a 50-year ruling, which was a bad ruling by all accounts. The judicial philosophy of the Trump administration, it sounds like it'd be pretty similar to the judicial philosophy of a Pence administration. How close were you to the selection of those judges? Because this is a fight you've been on the front of for a long time as a talk show host, as a governor, as a member of Congress, and as vice president. How involved were you in the selection of judges, and how will that affect you if you were selected to be president?
Well, first off, Dale, thanks for knowing I used to be a talk show host 30 years ago. Most people don't know that. I never had a program as big as the Dale Jackson Show, but we had a lot of fun every day across the state of Indiana. But look, I'll tell you, it was my great privilege to interview all of the finalists for appointment to the Supreme Court and offer my counsel to the president, and I couldn't be more proud. I know some recently have taken to criticizing or suggesting we could have done better on our Supreme Court appointments, but Dale, I couldn't be more proud of Justice Neil Gorsuch, Justice Brett Kavanaugh, and Indiana's Justice Amy Coney Barrett. These are extraordinary people who have a commitment to the Constitution, and I know they'll uphold not only the sanctity of life, but religious liberty and all the God-given liberties enshrined in our Constitution.
I mean, the whole judiciary was remade in that presidency. I mean, that's like one of the big things that I think you all can hang your hat on there, and I think that's important. Let's talk about another thing that didn't happen during that presidency and that administration, the remaking of the Justice Department. We heard a lot about the deep state, Vice President Pence, both in the lead up to the presidency and during the presidency and after, but there was no dismantling of the deep state, and I'm just going to be honest with you, it ate you guys alive. I mean, it literally ate you from the inside. Do you think y'all should have dismantled the deep state, and is that part of what you will do if you're elected?
Well, look, I think the American people witnessed the ongoing assault on our administration from literally before we were inaugurated. I wrote about it at great length in my book entitled "So Help Me God." It was literally on Inauguration Day 2017 that the Washington Post had a headline, Dale, that said, "The quest to impeach Donald Trump starts today." And whether it was 2.5 years of the Russia hoax, in having the Democrats in Congress impeach the president for a phone call, or just the ongoing assault of their allies in the liberal media, we were up against a hailstorm of opposition. But I think it makes me even more proud of everything we accomplished in those 4 years. We rebuilt our military, we revived our economy, we appointed those conservatives to our courts, created a solid conservative majority on the Supreme Court of the United States. But to your point, Dale, there's work to do, and it's one of the reasons why I said shortly after my announcement of my campaign for the Republican nomination for president that that on day one, we're going to clean house at the highest levels of the Justice Department, and we're going to find men and women of integrity to fill all of those top positions and change the culture there. We have to have confidence in equal treatment under the law. We have to have confidence that those who are administering our justice system in this country will do so fairly and equitably. And I promise you, we will find men and women who people on both ends of the spectrum will respect and know will do just that.
You've served in Congress. James Comer right now is looking into the Biden administration because of this Ukrainian stuff. He's the big guy on the laptop. He's the big guy on the whistleblower stuff. And the American media pretends that they just do not understand why people are so fired up about this and who the big guy even is. You have a couple reporters here and there asking these questions. If you are elected president of the United States, you can't really direct your attorney general, or at least you're not supposed to say, go after this issue. How do you handle that issue? Do you just wash your hands of the whole thing and hope that nature takes its course? Special counsel? What do you do?
No, look, last week we all lived through a sad day for America, Dale, when we, for the first time in history, we saw the unprecedented indictment of a former president of the United States. And as I've said, the charges brought in the indictment are serious, but former President Trump deserves his day in court. He deserves the opportunity to make his defense, and I stand by the rule of law. But look, what I'm saying is we shouldn't wait until the next administration to demand that justice is served. I mean, the suppression of the Hunter Biden laptop story in the run-up to our campaign in 2020 by big tech, big media, when the FBI actually had the laptop and knew it was legitimate, really was a disgrace. I think we need to demand equal treatment under the law. We need to say that the FBI and the Department of Justice and the special counsel appointed to investigate President Biden's mishandling of classified documents and the Justice Department's investigation into Hunter Biden move forward with equal vigor right now. I mean, the American people have no other expectation than that, and I'm going to continue to call on the Justice Department to move forward with the investigations thoroughly in connection with the president and his family, just as they have with regard to my former running mate.
Well, I got to tell you, I agree with everything you just said there, and I hope that is what happens. We're running out of time here for this interview. You mentioned your radio show there in the past. How much do you miss not doing radio? I can't imagine my life not doing radio. It sounds like it'd be terrible. How much do you miss doing radio, and how do you feel that prepares you for the next step?
Well, Dale, number one, as I said before, my radio show was never as big as the Dale Jackson show, so let me stipulate to that. But look, what I missed about talk radio is what I learned there. I spent most of the 1990s on talk radio around Indiana. I was kind of Rush Limbaugh on decaf, and at the end of the day, what I got mostly out of it was just hearing every day the wisdom, the goodness, the judgment, the idealism of the people of this country. I think the challenge we face as Americans is just to have government as good as our people again. We've got a lot of work to do. This country's in a lot of trouble at home and abroad because of the failed policies of the Biden administration. I'm running for president because I think we can turn this country around. And I'm running for president because I believe in the American people. And my years on talk radio have given me a boundless confidence in the American people. And I know the American people are going to right the ship. They're going to choose the right standard bearer. And we're going to lead Alabama and America all the way back, bigger and better than ever before.
Well, I hope you enjoy your stay in Huntsville, Alabama when you're here later on. I talk to people about the Rocket Center, talk to people about Space Command. That's a very important thing. But my last question to you is this. As a former talk show host, I need to ask you, will you follow me on Twitter? You have 61 people that you follow. I'd like to be 62. Could you give me a follow at the Dale Jackson?
Done. I'll do it.
Awesome. Absolutely awesome. Mike Pence, thank you very much
for
joining us.
Dale Jackson Show. You're great.
All right. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. All right. Vice President Mike Pence, a very important interview. Very happy to have him there. And we will be, of course, following up to make sure he follows us on Twitter. That's a very important piece of the interview.